Okay, everyone, this is my spoiler review of X-Men the Animated Series, Season 4, Episode 6, Courage. This originally came out September 23rd, 1995. Before I jump into my review, hit that sub button. This is a brand new X-Men channel. I can use all the help I can get. I'd really appreciate it. One thing I love about this show is that every time we open on Muir Island, we get these bagpipes that are just pumping. And remember, we last saw Morph way in the background sitting in a wheelchair with Moira taking care of him. So we're actually there now seeing Morph again. And he is thinking he's ready to rejoin the X-Men, even though Moira's a little hesitant about this. Now, this is one of the best written episodes of the show to me character-wise, and it all has to do with Morph because it's dealing with PTSD, trauma of all sorts, and it's really a realistic take on something that a soldier would go through, but you're putting it now to an X-Man, and I think it's really effective and something a lot of people can relate to. Now, on the funnier side of this episode, I love when the X-Men are alerted by Professor X that something's important they have to come see, and the animation of Beast and Wolverine running down the hallway together was rough. I mean, it was so intense, I felt like I was getting motion sickness watching it. But they see it's a welcome party for Morph coming home. It never gets old, though, with Wolverine sniffing ahead of time who's coming and him recognizing Morph's smell. I just love that running bit about Wolverine being able to smell things from afar. Now, while they're trying to celebrate Morph coming back, you see that they see on the news this attack we saw previously happen in this episode where the Sentinels attacked a lab. They're getting this new material to use, and we're seeing they're getting it to use for Master Mold's new body, but also they're using this weapon material that's advanced to make new Sentinels under Master Mold. I love all this is being ordered by just Master Mold's head, by the way. I thought that was such a funny thing to take in and actually really cool. And I really, just thinking about that now, I love the spider legs that come out of his head later on. I'd love to see that in live action, a Master Mold with spider legs. Now, we get to have a lot of fun with Morph here, obviously, because he can morph into different people, but I love when Wolverine asks Morph to go with him. He turns into John Wayne at one point. And I love the relationship between Wolverine and Morph, and they really lean into that here. And you see as the episode goes on how much Wolverine is caring for Morph and understanding what he's going through, but also just in general how much he loves the guy. He's just excited to be around Morph. You don't see Wolverine really that buddy with people as much as you do with Morph in this show. But you see when Morph is going to go with Wolverine, even Professor X is hesitant about this, and he says, "You sure you will take it easy to Morph?" Now, when Morph and Wolverine leave together, I love the stealth camera that comes out of the mini jet that Wolverine uses. It's really cool. I don't remember ever seeing it in the show. And there's something hysterical about Wolverine and Morph looking at each other at the feed of the mini camera, but they're out of sync with when they look at each other. It's like they keep missing each other. I thought that was really funny. And in the beginning of the show, when we first saw Morph, way back in season 1 even, I felt like they overused his laugh and it was getting annoying. But this episode, I thought was the perfect amount and used in the perfect moments, like when he became the commander of that soldier and he told him to leave and then he laughs about it after. I thought that was really cool and really funny. Now, speaking of Wolverine being able to smell things ahead of time, he smells the Sentinels are coming, and he doesn't tell Morph when he asks if he found anything, and then Morph will connect the dots when he sees the Sentinel footprint and is like, "Wolverine, don't baby me, like, tell me what's actually going on." But Wolverine's instinct was right here. Unfortunately, this is super traumatic still for Morph, so when he sees the Sentinel footprint, he freaks out. And it's just really bad luck that he comes back to the X-Men and his first mission has to do with the Sentinels, who would trigger his PTSD. But Professor X will have a nice talk with Morph about this and saying, "Don't take it badly if I don't send you against the Sentinels." And he says self-confidence is a delicate thing. But doesn't matter because the Sentinels will come to them. And I love, again, when Beast and Wolverine are running down the hallway to go help them. Now we see Beast is just hopping up and down as he goes, which is also visually hysterical. But I love Beast has this Sentinel gun that he uses. He has a great moment here. It's a really good Beast episode too, and how much research he's doing on the Sentinels, but this gun can see through the Sentinel's armor, which I thought was sick. And it's also cool to see Professor X has a little gun in his chair, so that was a nice, cool moment for Professor X getting in there. But now the Sentinels will take Professor X, and this is where Morph is crying and he froze up. So it's an emotional episode. It's a heavy episode, especially for a kids' animated show. It's really effective. It's good themes that I feel like it's good for kids to see, too. Now, Beast has a moment where he literally quotes Ozymandias, and I love he always not just says what the story or poem he is quoting, but who the author is, and that's just the same case here, which was great. And Cyclops is even like, "Okay, get to the point. What is this?" And he detects the coordinates from Sentinel Head of Trask and Gyrick, and it's just funny that Trask and Gyrick are just chilling, hiding out in a jungle somewhere because that's all they can do. But before the X-Men go to them, like I'm talking about, that bond Wolverine has with Morph and how much he loves Morph, because he feels for Morph and comforts him when they tell him to hang back. So I'm just happy this episode made sure to really hit that point home, because relationships are what make great stories, and Worf's and Wolverine's is a very underrated one. Now, when the X-Men get to the jungle where Gyrick and Trask are hiding, you see the Sentinels got there first, and they're there to get Trask and Gyrick. But I love when the X-Men fight these Sentinels that a Sentinel almost stomps on Wolverine. Storm has this great moment where she uses the water from the river to blow the Sentinel away. I thought that was really cool. While this is going on, the X-Men really aren't in the location they need to be, where Master Mold is, and this is where Morph blows up the Sentinel head, and in this finds that there's other coordinates and where Master Mold really is, and he knows he needs to go there. It's funny though, he's like, I have to do this alone, but honestly, he probably should have just told Scott immediately, but I get it for story purposes and character purpose. Now, when Master Mold wants to control Professor X's mind, this is his big plan, he goes to show an example of what he calls high irony. He says, using the greatest of all mutant minds to help eliminate mutant kind from the planet. I just thought it was hysterical that he had to explain that this is high irony. And poor Storm in the battle where Master Mold has these rocks falling on her again. She cannot get a break from her claustrophobia. Now, Morph shows up, and this is just his best moment in the show to date, where he is facing his fears here against the Sentinels, and he gets to turn into Omega Red, Sasquatch, Angel, which was really cool, and even Longshot. So you get to see the full extent of Morph's powers. And like I said, it's really cool seeing Master Mold just whip out these spider legs, and Morph shoots just the right rock in this cave to destroy him in the head, which is a sick moment as well. So it's cool to see Morph be the hero here, which we've seen him be the hero before. And this guy's just gone through a lot. He really can't catch a break in life. And he says even he can't stay. He's just not ready yet. And this really does break Wolverine's heart here, saying goodbye to him again. And Professor X has a great line where he says, if he can, he'll come back. He always will be an X-Men. I thought it was so important that they wrote it that way, that they wrote if he can, not he will be back, because it left a realistic tone, and maybe he'll never be fully recovered from this. And I think that's what makes it so sad and tragic, but realistic in a way about life and PTSD and trauma. So I thought that was really powerful, and I love that line. It sums up the whole episode beautifully, and it sums up Morph's character arc really well too. So that really raised the score for me on this one. So I'm going to give this one a solid 9. I just think it has such a great character focus on it of Morph, and really does the character justice, but such a realistic kind of conflict of trauma that many people can relate to, and just feels realistic in a superhero story like the X-Men. So I love that. The best kind of stories like that blend that feeling of superhero, but also some realism really in there. Let me know what you thought of this episode. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I read every comment. I try to respond as many as I can. Hit that sub button, and I'll see you next time.